entire game transformed into a Caitlin Clark takeover. The first deep three shocked the crowd, not because she made it, but because of how confident it looked. She pulled up from far beyond the arc, with absolutely zero fear. The Valkyrie bench instantly reacted. Defenders started communicating louder. Fans in the arena exploded, and social media completely lost control. Then came a shot, and another. Suddenly, Golden State's defensive strategy began collapsing in real time. The trap stopped working because Clark started reading them perfectly. Double teams created open passing lanes. Defenders hesitated for half a second, and she punished them instantly. Every possession started feeling dangerous for Valkyries. That is when panic quietly entered the game. You could see it on the faces of defenders trying desperately to contain her. Rotations became slower. Communication looked frantic. Every time Clark crossed half court, the crowd stood up, expecting something dramatic to happen. The energy completely shifted away from Golden State. And honestly, that may have been the most impressive part of the performance. It was not just about scoring, it was about control. Clark completely changed the emotional momentum of the game for herself. 1 minute, the Fever looked overwhelmed. The next minute, the Valkyries suddenly looked nervous every time she touched the basketball. That psychological shift is what separates good players from true superstars. Then came the sequence fans will probably remember all season. Clark drilled a deep three, forced a turnover on the next possession, pushed the pace transition, and delivered a perfect assist that sent the arena into absolute chaos. The Valkyries called timeout immediately, but by then the momentum was already on. Fans online started calling it vintage Caitlin Clark. Others said it reminded them of her legendary college performance, where one hot streak completely destroyed opponents emotionally. Highlight clips spread everywhere within minutes. Sports pages posting phrases like unstoppable, cold-blooded, and superstar takeover. Meanwhile, the Valkyries looked completely stunned. Coach Nakase kept trying defensive adjustments, but nothing slowed Clark once she found rhythm. Some possessions they trapped aggressively. Other times they switched defenders. Occasionally they tried forcing the ball out of her hands early. None of it worked consistently, and that became the real story. The Valkyries ended the second half with control of the game. By the fourth quarter, they looked like a team desperately searching for answers that simply did not exist anymore. Even commentators sounded shocked. Every big shot increased the pressure. Every assist energized Indiana further. Every reaction from the crowd made the atmosphere more intense. Stopped feeling like a regular season game and started feeling like a statement performance from player tired of hearing criticism. Because make no mistake, Clark heard all the noise, the injury discussions, the media debates, the constant criticism online, questions about efficiency, Questions about leadership. Questions about whether the could truly compete consistently. And for one unfulfilled second half, she answered all of it the only way stars can. By taking over the game completely. As Kate Clark continued torching the Valkyries in the second half, cameras kept cutting toward the Golden State bench. And honestly, fans online noticed the same thing immediately. Coach Natalie Nakase looked frustrated, trying to solve a problem that kept getting worse every possession. At first, the Valkyries looked confident. Even after Clark hit a few difficult shots, Golden State players continued communicating aggressively on defense. They stayed physical. They pressured passing lanes. Bench players kept cheering loudly after defensive stops. For a while, it seemed like they still believed they could survive the storm. But then Clark entered another level entirely. The deeper the game moved into the second half, the faster Indiana's offense started flowing around her. Transition opportunities increased. Passing angles opened everywhere. Clark stopped reacting to the defense and started controlling it completely. That is when the Valkyries' energy visibly changed. Timeout huddles became longer. Defensive assignments looked confused. Players started pointing fingers after missed rotations. Every mistake became magnified because Clark punished almost every defensive breakdown instantly, and fans could see Coach Nakase searching desperately for answers. One moment she was standing with arms crossed, watching silently. The next moment she was yelling instructions to defend, trying to slow Clark down before another scoring run exploded. But nothing seemed to work for long. Social media instantly turned those reactions into viral content. Clips of Nakase pacing the sidelines spread everywhere online. Fans started posting captions claiming he looked completely stunned by Clark's shot-making ability. Others joked the Valkyries bench reacted like they were watching a video game character instead of a rookie guard. Then came the moment that completely shifted internet conversation. During one possession late in the quarter, Clark pulled up from several feet behind the three-point line and buried another deep shot with defenders already closing hard. The arena erupted instantly. Fever players jumped off the bench. Even commentators sounded speechless for a second, and the broadcast camera immediately cut toward Nakase. That reaction exploded online within minutes. Some fans claimed the expression on her face looked like pure disbelief. Others said it looked like she already knew the game was slipping away. Basketball creators slowed the footage down frame by frame, analyzing every emotion visible during that moment. That is how massive Caitlin Clark's spotlight has become. Even opposing coaches' reactions have now become viral discussion topics across sports media. Meanwhile, Indiana kept feeding off the momentum. The fever bench became louder after every big possession. Teammates celebrated every assist like playoff moments. Clark's confidence seemed to grow stronger every minute. Once she entered rhythm completely, Golden State defenders started hesitating before committing to traps because they feared getting exposed again. That hesitation became fatal. Clark recognized defensive uncertainty instantly and attacked it without mercy. If defenders stepped too high, she attacked downhill. If they backed away slightly, she launched another deep three. If double teams arrived late, she created easy opportunities for teammates. The Valkyries were no longer defending comfortably. They were surviving possession by possession. And honestly, fans online loved every second of it. After weeks of criticism surrounding Clark's performances, many supporters viewed this game as personal redemption. Every highlight felt emotional. Every shot felt like a response to doubters. Comment sections exploded with fans claiming this was the exact performance they had been waiting for all season. Some analysts even started comparing the atmosphere to Clark's biggest college games. The emotional intensity felt similar. The crowd energy felt similar. The sense that one controlled the emotional direction of the entire arena felt identical to her most iconic NCAA performances. Meanwhile, pressure on the Valkyries kept increasing. Golden State players started forcing shots offensively, trying to answer Clark's scoring runs too quickly. Transition defense became sloppier. Communication errors increased. The more aggressive Indiana became, the more rushed the Valkyries started looking. That is when people realized this was no longer just a hot streak. This was psychological domination. Clark was not simply making shots. She was breaking the confidence of the defense guarding her. Every difficult basket drained more energy from Golden State. Every crowd eruption increased pressure further. Every timeout felt more desperate than the previous one. And through all of it, Coach Nakase kept searching for a defensive adjustment that never truly arrived. By the fourth quarter, fans online had already declared the game over emotionally, even before the final buzzer sounded. Because once Caitlin Clark reaches that level of confidence, opponents often realize something terrifying. There may not actually be an answer at all. By the start of the fourth quarter, one thing had become painfully obvious for the Golden State Valkyries. Caitlin Clark was no longer just having a good game. She was completely taking over the entire night. The energy inside the arena felt electric every time she touched the basketball. Fans stood before shots were even released. Commentators raised their voices during every fast break. Even neutral viewers online admitted something special was happening in real time. And the most dangerous part for Golden State? Clark looked completely fearless. Every possession felt like she was hunting another big moment. She attacked defenders confidently, pushed the pace relentlessly, and played with the kind of swagger that instantly changes the emotional balance of a game. That confidence spread across the entire Fever roster. Teammates started playing faster, missions became sharper. Indiana suddenly looked like a completely different team compared to the nervous group fans saw earlier in the game. One moment had transformed the entire atmosphere. Meanwhile, the Valkyries looked emotionally exhausted. Every time Golden State attempted building momentum, Clark answered immediately. A transition three, a no-look assist, a deep pull-up from near the logo, exploded louder after every possession, and the pressure on the Valkyries kept multiplying. That is when frustration started becoming visible everywhere. Golden State defenders began reacting emotionally after foul calls, broke down repeatedly. Bench players looked stunned watching another Clark highlight appear seconds later on the arena screen, and social media completely lost its mind. Fans started posting, Clips calling this the arrival game of Caitlin Clark's rookie season claimed this was the exact performance the WNBA had been waiting for. Sports timelines with highlights showing impossible shots, transition plays and reactions from the crowd. But perhaps the most of Clark's performance was not even the scoring itself. It was the control. She dictated everything happening on the floor. When Indiana needed pace, she accelerated the game instantly. When teammates needed confidence, she created. When defenders hesitated, she attacked aggressively. Every decision felt calculated, confident, and emotionally devastating for Golden State. That is superstar basketball. And the Valkyries had absolutely no answer once she entered that zone. Several analysts later pointed out Golden State's defensive structure collapsed once Clark forced constant adjustments. Defenders started overhelping near the perimeter, which opened driving lanes everywhere. Once help defenders collapsed inward, Clark punished them with kick-out passes and transition creation. It became impossible to defend consistently. And honestly, that is what separates elite players from ordinary stars. Great players score, control the emotional rhythm of entire games. By the middle of the fourth quarter, the Valkyries were no longer playing confidently. They were reacting emotionally to every possession, hoping Indiana would finally cool off naturally. But Clark never slowed down. If anything, she became more aggressive. One possession in particular completely broke the internet. Clark crossed half-court, hesitated for a split second, then launched an unbelievably deep three, while defenders scrambled desperately toward her. The shot dropped cleanly. The arena erupted instantly. Fever players jumped off the bench, screaming. Even opposing fans online admitted the shot, and again cameras immediately found Coach Nakase. That reaction spread everywhere. Fans claimed she looked completely speechless, watching at another impossible shot fall through the net. Some viewers even joked that the Valkyries looked mentally officially ended. Whether that was fair or not, perception had already taken over reality. Because once sports fans emotionally connect to a superstar performance, every moment becomes part of the legend. And make no mistake, this performance is legendary, not just because of the scoring numbers, but because of the timing. Clark entered this game with criticism, pressure, injury discussions, and non-stop debate about her performances. Critics questioned her efficiency. Analysts questioned Indiana's consistency. Social media debated whether expectations around her were becoming unrealistic. Then she delivered this. A second-half explosion against a desperate defense under Nakase. That is exactly how superstar narratives are built. Suddenly, the conversation shifted completely. In circles, fans started asking whether this was the turning point for Indiana's entire season. Commentators